Hello and most welcome to H 1927. It is a very big occasion. It's the year of quantum mechanics really springing to forth from the Palais Solvay in Brussels. A most important year when it took a definite turn for religion, spirituality, philosophy, science. And this is what the course, this lecture series is all about. The marvelous year of 1927. By an odd coincidence, as pointed out by my colleague here, it's also the 27th of November today. Isn't that a surprise and a half? So, a most important day indeed.
We have the young Führer here also.
No, I do not think so. He wouldn't be there. But we have Marie Curie and Albert Einstein, of course, and others. You can check it out. Pauli, I see. Heisenberg. But we will today continue with the text Essays, Critical and Clinical by Gilles Deleuze. Gilles Deleuze, the name in itself. Who wouldn't want to have a name like that? To be named Gilles. Je moi, je sois. Je m'appelle Gilles Deleuze. Oui, très bien. Last time we took a thorough look at singularity and plurality. It's one of those things that are springing from each other. From plurality comes the possibility of singularity, and from singularity comes the possibility of plurality. They are intertwined, and each one is strengthening the other, making it more vivid, more alive, I would say, more working, understandable, functioning. The exclusion of singularity and plurality leads to the demise of both. Then you will have neither. As we mentioned many times before, the exclusion of evil will make goodness disappear. Pure goodness as the singularity. For the left hemisphere, as bespoke by Ian McGilchrist, and also I would say Ludwig Wittgenstein, the oversimplified idea and naive idea is to emotionally, instably reject even the thinking of evil, and thereby, in the project of doing something good, just the opposite will happen. It would be more fixated. So from singularity springs plurality, from plurality singularity, from good and evil only good, from no evil comes evil, the legitimization of evil itself. And the last we did was page 40, the end of the paragraph there. Judgment was committed. And then we go to the next paragraph, paragraph 2. on the same page. If you could make it a little bit bigger, it would be nice. 220. Or 230 maybe. In this regard, the working method of the apocalypse is fascinating.
Fascinating.
Fascinating, indeed, fascinating. The Jews had invented something very important in the order of time, which was postponed destiny.
Postponed destiny.
Postponed destiny. Having failed in their imperial ambition, the chosen people had put on hold. They were left waiting. They had become a people of postponed destiny. Destiny postponed, oh dear.
Destiny, where are you?
This situation remains essential throughout all of Jewish prophetism. And already explains the presence of certain apocalyptic elements in the prophets. But what is new in the apocalypse is that this waiting now becomes the object of an unprecedented and maniacal programming. Programming, oh dear.
Maniacal programming. The apocalypse is undoubtedly the first great program book. A great spectacle. The small and large death. The seventh seal. The seven trumpets. The seven vials. The first resurrection. The millennium. The second resurrection. The last judgment. This is what fills up and occupies the wait. A kind of folie bergère with a celestial city and an internal lake of sulfur. Sulfur! Oh dear.
all the details of the sufferings, the scourges and plagues reserved for the enemies in the lake, the glory of the elect in the city, the need of the latter to measure their self-glory through the suffering of others. All this was programmed down to the minute in the long revenge of the weak. It is the spirit of revenge that introduces the program into the weight. Revenge is a dish that is better served cold.
Yummy, 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 yummy.
Indeed. Those who wait must be given something to do. The wait has to be organized from start to finish. The martyred souls have to wait until there is a sufficient number of martyrs for the show to begin. To begin, to start, indeed, to go forth. And then there is the short wait of half an hour before the opening of the seventh seal. The long wait lasting a millennium. Above all, the end must be programmed. They need to know the end as well as the beginning. Never before had men wanted to know the end of creation. The end of creation as we know it. Flamboyant hate and a simple lust for the end of the world.
Lust for the end of the world. Hey.
There's an element here that does not appear as such in the Old Testament, but only in the collective Christian soul.
So
Which opposes the apocalyptic vision to the prophetic word and the apocalyptic program to the prophetic project. For if the prophet waits, already filled with a resentiment, he nonetheless does so in time. In life, he is waiting for an advent. Advent. And he waits for this advent as something new and unforeseen. Something of which he can merely sense the presence or the gestation in God's plan.
Like the goat.
Yeah, I can't. Whereas Christianity can no longer wait for anything but a return, and the return of something programmed down to the smallest detail. The detail. Detail.
Smallest.
The very smallest. If Christ is dead, then the center of gravity is effectively displaced. It is no longer in life, but has passed on life into an afterlife. Postponed destiny changes meaning with Christianity. Since it's no longer simply deferred, but postferred, placed after death, after the death of Christ, and the death of each and every person. Every person. Each and every person.
Bosford.
One is now faced with the task of filling up a monstrous and drawn-out time between death and the end, between death and eternity.
Eternity.
It can only be filled with visions. I looked, and behold, and I saw. apocalyptic vision replaces the prophetic word. Programming replaces project and action. An entire theater of phantasms supplants both the action of the prophets and the passion of Christ. Phantasm, the expression of the instinct for vengeance, the weapon of the weak's vengeance. And there, with the terrible word vengeance, I'm going to put a stop to 1927.
Such vengeance and vengeance. Page, let me see, page.
41.
Yes, 41.
41. We go to page 40, just where I started to read. We are talking about postponed destiny. The now is deferred. The now is no longer taking place in the now anymore. This is very close to what we discussed when it comes to criterion in the present. What makes a word have meaning, its sense giving, is already either preponed, if you like, I don't know if it's a word, or postponed. It doesn't take place in the present. And Derrida more or less called that presentism, or the logocentrism of presence. Rather, it is postponed. Something you can look further at in the next sentence, the last one on page 40. The small and the large death, the seven seal, the seven trumpets, the seven vials, the first resurrection, the millennium, the second resurrection, and the last judgment. Now, today, we have the new millennium coming up. The prophecy has been fulfilled. We have actually arrived at the present, so to speak. We are there now. But that does not mean literally a fixation with presentism or nowness. I'd say just the opposite. Why? Well, let's look further down. About 12 lines down, above all, The end must be programmed. They need to know the end as well as the beginning. Never before had men wanted to know the end of creation. So this knowingness is the criterion. If you have the past and the coming, you have knowledge, which cannot be in the presence only. There is no knowledge in the presence. It's only an escaping now. You can never reach it. It's like a cat wanting to catch his own tail. Instead, expand, widen, make the present larger, bigger, and thereby taking in more, widening the whole thing, so more thing can enter. If we go down a little bit, we will see what is it all about. Underneath the Christian soul, it's only 4 lines further down. Which opposes the apocalyptic vision to the prophetic word, the apocalyptic program to the prophetic project. And here we are. This is no coincidence. This is 1927. This is today. We get a hint from God Almighty by synchronicity. We have reached the end and the start, the Alpha and the Omega. The wait is over in a way, and the action, the criterion can now happen. No more soulless going about without a past that fulfills, that gives the rules something to live with. So what before seemed dead is now widely alive. Hallelujah. If we go further down, whereas Christianity can no longer wait for anything but a return, and the return of something programmed down to the smallest detail. Everything can now be in place without having to be tricked into a determinism. It is now widely open. All can now happen. It's a widening of both time and space. It's the conquering of mortality itself by widening further and further and further out of the darkness of rejection of singularity, plurality, or the rejection of evil, which obscures and darkens. Kalle Lundahl, please enter.
Yes, so
This phrase, programmed down to the smallest detail. It reminds me of the paper about the DNA that we read in May
Oh yeah, life and death.
by Derrida.
Life, death.
So the question is this idea expressed in the book of Revelation, or is this the interpretation by Deleuze and Lawrence of the book of Revelation? That is the question. I suspect that is rather interpretation by Deleuze and Lawrence, broken down to the smallest detail. I think that they are fixated in the programming.
Oh yeah, I'd say that. It's an unhappy choice of words.
And Deleuze was contemporary, of course, with the guy with the DNA, the Frenchman. I don't remember what was the attacked by the Derrida in the Life and Death.
You disappear a bit. Could you speak a bit more into the microphone?
So you remember the dialogue Derrida had in Life and Death?
Oh yeah, of course.
With what was the name of the Frenchman, the Nobel Prize winner with the DNA?
There were several. Canguilhem, Bernard,
Bernard, yes.
Monod.
Monod, yes, I was thinking more about Monod. The Frenchmen, so they were both living in the same city, roughly at the same time, Deleuze and Monod. So he would have been familiar with the DNA. So the thing is that, what is the point? Was Monod incorrect? Monod made the mistake of, so to say, focusing only on the DNA, not taking account of the surroundings, for instance, the milieu. And I think that is also the book of Revelation. It's not programmed down at the smallest detail. I would say it would take account the milieu as well.
Exactly. I'd say it's an unhappy choice of words here.
And if you relate this programming with the Solvay conference, and the Solvay conference of 1957 showed that there is no programming. I think that is the main point actually of the conclusion, that there can be no absolute programming. There is no determination, so to say.
Exactly. It's a glorious message that still hasn't reached the public, so to speak.
Einstein wanted to have a determined universe, while Bohr was of the opposite opinion, and Bohr's opinion prevailed.
Oh yeah. Indeed, it's a glorious revelation indeed. And now we're there.
And of course we have also here Schrödinger, and he showed, speaking of death and cats, death cats and so forth, he showed that you cannot determine death, so to say. It's always depending on the observer.
The observer comes in there most definitely in a most decisive way that was unexpected before. Yes, indeed.
Yes, and there is always collapses of superpositions, like postpones.
Yeah,
Everything is
we as
postponed.
observer collapses the whole thing. That's what coming to the conclusion.
But let's end there, I propose.
Yeah, thank you very much for participating, Kalle Lundahl. Thank you for your nice comments as usual. Have a very pleasant morning, day or afternoon, wherever you are. Until next, bye-bye.